And now welcome to the next chapter, and that is where we are going to flip pages on our local dailies to tell you what is making the headlines and stories therein. And with me I have the Star newspaper. Let me start with what's on the front page. From a meek Catholic boy to a gusty advocate. That is a story of somehow a profile of Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula's story. So you can take a look on that story. It's what's fleshed out there for you on the front page. For 2 elections, Wetangula has been one of the principals in the main opposition coalition and is now a principal for principal a third time in the 3-part series. You can also go through that, where they're talking about the profile of Senator Moses Wetangula. Okay, Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi forged KCSE certificate. That is according to NEC official who talked to the court, who testified rather before the court about Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi's KCSE certificate. I will give you more details on that. And Raila leaves for Dubai for week-long visit, but office denies campaign fundraising claims. On the front page, Anne Waiguru, my mother, son, told me Mount Kenya is for DP Ruto. Yesterday, she was given that cap or cap for the UDA officially welcoming her to the party. All right, so Sudi didn't sit KCSE exam in 2006, says NEC official. Kashu says that lawmaker didn't register or sit the test at Highways Secondary School. An anti-corruption court was yesterday told that Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi did not sit the KCSE 2006 examination as earlier alleged. The Kenya National Examination Council Principal Examination Secretary Nabiki Kashu told Magistrate Felix Kombo that Sudi did not register or sit the 2006 KCSE examination at Highway Secondary School in Nairobi. Now, she was testifying in a case in which Sudi has been charged with forging a diploma certificate in business management, purporting it to be a genuine document issued by the Kenya Institute of Management. So he's also accused of forging his KCSE certificate, purporting it to be a genuine document issued by the Kenya National Examination Council. All right, the case still continues. Very quickly to the next page here. My mom and son told me Mount Kenya is behind DP Ruto. That's according to Governor Anne Waiguru. Governor says that she decamped after consulting widely among her backers. Waiguru said that her mother and son were reminding her of the Hustler Movement wave in Mount Kenya region every morning, and that the bottom-up economic model was resonating well with Kenyans. She spoke at DP's Ruto's current residence in Nairobi, where she decamped from President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party to Ruto's UDA. A month ago, Waiguru said that she would listen to the people and consult extensively before making a decision on her political path. So she has officially decamped to UDA. And finally on that, ANC boss Mudavadi says that he won't shelve his 2022 presidential bid. Mudavadi said that he's putting final touches on relevant structures in his party in readiness for the launch of his presidential campaign, even as One Kenya Alliance talks take shape. So Mudavadi said that he has started to put in place infrastructure needed for the race. Remember, yesterday we had the Secretary of ANC who said that his boss will go for nothing less than the top seat. All right, finally, ODM Raila Odinga leaves country for week-long Dubai. ODM boss Raila Odinga is set to leave for Dubai on Wednesday, that is today, at a time the race for State House has begun heating up with daily campaigns meeting across the country. The opposition chief is expected to fly out of the country rather to the United Arab Emirates, where he will stay for a week. Yesterday, ODM chairman John Mbadi confirmed the trip but will not divulge the reasons for the trip. However, sources said close to the party said that Raila's visit is private. This is the second time in 4 months that the ODM leader is flying to Dubai. Jen.
Right, let me now run you through the front pages of the Daily Nation as well as the Standard newspaper. We start off with the Daily Nation. The first story here is in regards to education, of course, with the children set to start their, final assessment. NEC is supposed to put up the final assessments today, and they will be starting their exams by Friday of this week as they gear up towards December when they will be closing. All that has been captured here on the back page of the Daily Nation, and this is for grade 3, 4 and 5. Okay. The other story here is concerning Nairobi Governor Kananu. That is the question, why nobody saw this coming, and this is the story that has been covered here on page 23. Let me just run you through it very quickly, because she is a factor that not so many people were ready for, or rather or even expected, given she wasn't even among the 4 women that had been nominated by the former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko as a deputy. Remember, he had nominated let me get you their names. The 4 women that he had shortlisted, rather, they were Margaret Wanjiru, Agnes Kagure, Karen Nyamu, and Jain Wambui. But looking at Anne Kananu, and the question is she a governor in waiting? Her nomination as deputy governor came in last year, January, and it was only meant to buy time to ease the pressure that was then being piled on Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko. And right now, she's at a place where she's only a heartbeat away to become the first female governor of Nairobi County and the 3rd one for that seat as well. But just looking at a brief history about what she was doing before she joined the City Hall, which she joined in May of 2018. Before that, she was, and she joined City Hall as the disaster management and coordination in that particular department. Before that, she was working at the Kenya Airports Authority, where she had been the security supervisor in charge of quality control and training for 13 good years. Now, those people who knew her did know that she had a political inclination, but they never really thought that she would actually get to where she is today when it comes to how close she is to become the governor of Nairobi County. That is that. Still keeping up with that political note, the main read, of course, political suicide or clever plan. This is the question that so many critics are asking, given the most recent, shifting of camps by Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru. And the interesting bit is here on this particular daily, they've talked of how she is now the highest ranking member to join the UDA party and the deputy president, the 2nd highest, of course, after the deputy president in that particular party, and more so coming from the vote reach Mount Kenya region. And it's only about 2 months after she had openly given her support for ODM leader as the president of Kenya come 2022. But now with this move, is it a good move for her, or will she live to regret why she defected from the ruling party Jubilee? But only time will tell, and more specifically the 2022 general elections. And let me just piece that together with what has also been covered on the Standard in regards to that particular story. It is also the main read here. Is Waiguru DP's secret pick for a running mate? That is the angle that this particular daily has chosen to go by. And they are key to point out that she also defected from Jubilee on the president's birthday. So was that a deliberate move to sort of solidify or fortify their decision, or rather her decision to shift from, or rather to defect from Jubilee to UDA on the president's 60th birthday? Well, is it a message in hiding? That is what they have chosen to go by here on this daily. And but the battle between her and women rep still continues to rage on, given we did see the woman rep saying, in as much as she has, the governor has moved to UDA, she is still coming for that governor's seat. That is a women rep in Kirinyaga County, Wangui Girishi. So that is that. That is the front page of the Daily Nation and the Standard for you as well.
I think
just birthday. I mean,
just to tie. Was it a coincidence or it was just a deliberate move?
Or a deliberate move?
Yes. All right. Everything is well calculated, but you know this is politics, and the politics, everything is tied. This end and the other end are completely tied. So
it's never random.
It's never random. All right. Doreen?
It's never random. Of all days she could defect, just had to be on the 26th of October.
Yeah.
Okay. What can we say? What can we say?
What can we say?
Okay, let's come to the People's Daily, and perhaps you can start with some international news, and this is with what has been happening in Sudan. So the scribe of this particular article, that is just Peter Mwai, just decided to go back in history of African countries and perhaps what has been happening on the African continent when it comes to the coups that have been taking place, and just trying to perhaps make us reason out is the military takeovers back in Africa. Remember that on Monday there was that coup which took place in Sudan, resulting to people living in that particular country just going to the capital city, that is in Khartoum, to demonstrate there. And this was after that house arrest of the Prime Minister together with some civilian leaders of his cabinet. So what the general said is that this was actually for his own good why they put him under that house arrest. And again, this comes at a time when the UN Sec-Gen, that is Antonio Guterres, called out on Tuesdays saying that he needs to be released with immediate effect. That is the Sudan Prime Minister who needs to be released with immediate effect. That is Abdallah Hamdok. And again, just to take it a bit back to the history on how coups have been happening in the African continent, and just it comes out that Sudan has had the most coups, attempted takeovers, amounting to 17 of them. 5 have been successful, the rest have been unsuccessful. And also this comes at a time where there was an attempted one in September which failed. There have been several others in the country of Nigeria, Burundi, and some different other various African continents. And perhaps before I just continue unpacking different other stories, I mean, when you look at what has been happening in the African continent, there was also a similar one in Zimbabwe at some point. Do you feel like there's always that bone of contention in power between the military and civilians to get to a point where they deem it fit to just have a coup, perhaps for the leaders in office at that time to understand what it is that needs to be done, or vice versa? What are your thoughts in regards to this, guys? What do you think about that? I mean, do you feel like as an African continent, it's really necessary for coups to be taking place, for things to be done?
Wow. Okay, that's a heavy question.
Very, and especially looking at the political consequences that come after that. I mean, we are a country that has been there. And, okay, we were not presently there. Okay, I speak for myself. I wasn't presently there.
It was attempted.
It was an attempted coup that we got to hear about. And from history books, we know it wasn't a very pleasant times, and especially from what we get to hear within the broadcasting house, given this was the broadcasting house that was used to, you know, communicate that message. But it's sad that happened, and I don't think it is necessary for it to happen, but you know, sometimes you can never have much control over what happens, because it is man who is still doing this, and by man I don't specifically mean the male gender.
Exactly.
Man.
If you ask me, most of the countries that go through that, that political unrest and, so to speak, the coup attempts and such, they really have a lot of time to develop themselves and to come back to their feet. It's always a very delicate affair, so to speak, because when a legitimate government is being overthrown by the military or by the civilian, actually it destabilizes everything, including international, the stability, the funding, the trust between the government and other international governments. So it takes a toll on a country for them to come back to their real sense and just to manage themselves smoothly. And such countries, if you remember, most of the coup attempts in certain countries do end up either a leader is jailed or killed, or run out for an exile to an exile. So it's not something that any country in Africa should exactly. I mean, and it's quite rampant in Africa, by the way. I have no idea what that. We are in the 21st century. Somebody said that in every situation you don't need to fight. Sometimes you just have to fold your fist, put it in a pocket, and then say, "Can we have a talk?" You know? Yeah.
And the sad part is that Sudan was actually in the transition process, transitioning to a more stable democratic space.
Yeah.
And then this happened. So
something needs to be done. Something needs to be done.
Sure, something needs to be done. I mean, quite rampant in the African continent. And just going by this particular article, that's why I posed that question to us. Is it really necessary? No,
it's not. It's not.
It's absolutely not necessary, but it's happening.
Yeah.
It is the reality. So
yeah, reality is that it's actually happening. All right, so let's continue the People's Daily, still on some international matters. And this is now in Nigeria, where gunmen shot 18 worshippers dead in Nigerian mosque. And apparently this has actually been on a trend whereby there has been a lot of gunshots in that particular country, either in mosques or even in churches. Just this article trying to highlight what the major reason or cause could be, that could be leading to this. And also just trying to make us understand that also on May 30th, the same armed bandits abducted about 136 students at an Islamic school in Tegina town in the same country. Still again on matters of what is happening when it comes to unrest in different parts of the African continent, in different countries. All right, so let's come to matters of justice, and perhaps you can if you can remember that story that we ran by you sometime last week. This is in regards to the Nakuru fake magistrate. So far now the courts have decided to also detain him for a further 7 days, just for to come up with, I mean, before the case can proceed, to detain him for a further 7 days. But they had requested that perhaps they could be released on a cash bill. This is actually him together with the wife on a cash bill of about 350,000 for both of them. But the court decided to just release the wife and continue detaining the man. The man is Victor Ngeno. He had impersonated himself. He had impersonated, and this was magistrate imposter. Actually, that is the magistrate imposter Victor Ngeno, and he will still remain in custody because of that, just posing himself as a fake magistrate around that time. Still again on matters caught perhaps in justice, this is also in regards to that story that we had yesterday, that is of the lady Agnes Wanjiru, who had been killed by a British soldier in 2012. So yesterday the sex workers went to took to the street, that is in Laikipia County, protesting over that which had happened in 2012, and also crying for their rights, saying that the government needs to come in play and at least assist them, because they say that it is difficult doing the kind of work that they do, and sometimes some of these things are just basically what usually happens, in terms of cases and murders, and no one usually comes up to step up for them. So that's what happened yesterday in Laikipia County in regards to that particular story. And also to some bit of politics now. Insiders are pushing for Ruto to strike a deal with the One Kenya Alliance chief. Remember that also we've established that so far the DP is choosing to go at it alone, just trying to see how best he can reach Kenyans on the grassroots level. And this is what has also informed that bottom-up economic approach. And what we see from what the former premier is doing is that he's choosing to go at it through the through the region's kingpin. So this is why insiders are now pushing for the DP to strike a deal with Oka chiefs, saying that perhaps it might be a bit difficult for the DP to clinch that top seat if he continues going at it the way he is doing it. And also, still on the ODM party, now it looks like they wouldn't be going for the primaries or even nominations as a way of selecting those who will be taking up different seats, but rather they'll be doing it through the hand-picking method. And they're saying this is just to be on top of things to ensure that whatever seats that there are there, they can be able to clinch it. That's why they'll be going through that system of hand-picking, and they'll be hand-picking based on those that are popular on specific and on various regions. We obviously also have that story on Anne Waiguru, who defected to the Ruto's camp, and just trying to also make us understand that Kirinyaga is perhaps that county to look at, because not only the current governor Anne Waiguru who will be contesting for that seat on a position of governorship, we also have Girishi as well as Martha Karua, much as she has not declared which party she'll be going she will be using rather to contest for that seat. We also have her, and also let me just get that particular name. That is Waiguru's predecessor, Joseph Ndathi, who while former Ndia MP, also Njeru Githae, who is Kenya's ambassador to Austria, is also said to be heading home to join that race. So clearly there's, there's just so many persons who are trying to see if they can get that Kirinyaga seat on various tickets, and key among them being those very important persons. So this is why it's going to be looked at as one of those perhaps important areas to be focusing on come 2022. We also have that story on Lamu Senator, that is Anwar Loitiptip, just running us through how he got to that particular seat, and he's being termed as Lamu bad boy who caught all controversies. Just also saying that even when he was being sworn in as senator, he didn't have a tie, that his mom had to go look for a tie for him. I mean, for such an important event, he wasn't even dressed officially. As well, we also know that he had a case because of shooting that 32-year-old lady, and he was to be released on a $500,000 cash bail. That's how the PD looks like this Wednesday.
All right, let's get to some of those details, and let me start with this particular story here on the Standard concerning the ongoing mass voter registration process. So according to this particular piece, poor planning and budgeting have been blamed for the low voter listing. Poor planning and mobilization by IEBC, as well as budgetary constraints, have been linked to the low turnout when it comes to this particular registration process, and also the feeling that the majority of the youth have that their vote might not count in the next year's general elections has also been a huge part of this apathy in this particular exercise that we have witnessed, given so far they've only registered 800,462 new voters against a targeted 6 million in the 3 weeks that this process has been ongoing. Remember, the process will be coming to a close next week on the 2nd of November. And looking at the IEBC, they deployed 3 BVR kits to each of the 1,450 wards across the country, a total of 7,722 BVR kits. And they had given Treasury a budget of $4 billion to ensure that this exercise is as smooth when it comes to finances. But Treasury and the parliament only appropriated 1.2 billion out of the 4 billion that they had requested for, and out of this 1.2 billion that they did get, 538 million went to the salary wages of the temporary staff that they had enlisted during this process, and the remaining monies were used to when it comes to the materials, transport and logistics therein. So it was a huge financial constraint for the commission, as per what they said. But on the other hand, there are those that say also the commission did not conduct civic education to sensitize the eligible voters as best as they should have, because that is also another reason as to why we are seeing this apathy, and more so when it comes to the particular targeted group that involved the youth. But last week we did see IEBC chair saying that they have plans underway to deploy BVR kits to universities and colleges across the country, because as it currently stands, the targeted voters are in school, they are in session, and so this will be the best way to ensure that they reach as many of them as they possibly can by setting up stations and, of course, with the BVR kits across the universities and colleges in the country.
Yeah. talk of education, I have got two stories here attached to that. Most Kenyans only attended primary school according to a study. Most Kenyans. That's what about you?
Only.
Only. According to a study. So the majority of Kenyans have only attained primary school education. A study by Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis suggests the study shows penetration of secondary education in the country is lagging behind, with the national mean of years spent in school averaging at 7.5. Now, this means that most Kenyans have just gone through primary school that runs for 8 years under the 844 education system, which actually is being phased out as we speak. The study was released on 25th of October, that is around yesterday, but one, and sought to examine modalities of financing human capital investment in secondary education. So it's a tricky affair, but you know, the system actually recommends and recognizes at least someone must attain that, you know, actually the minimum requirement is 844, and class 8 in some places is also recognized. So yeah, mtu anaona tu amefika class 8, that's it. And then there's this story here where Alam has 3 Kericho schools shut in 3 days. The reason being, that is Kericho High School was closed indefinitely after a strike by 1,600 students. Reason, the students went on strike in solidarity. The keyword is in solidarity with Kipsigis girls, who went on strike on Sunday to protest the transfer of the principal to Moi Girls High School in Eldoret. On Monday, Kericho T-Boys secondary school students also went on strike to protest the school administration's refusal to allow them to watch a live match between Liverpool and Manchester United. Where?
We take a break.
Let's take a break. As you also take a break at home, remember your future lies on you. Football.
High five.
High five. Take a break. We'll be right back. Of football. Do you know how much those players earn per week? And anytime they go to the field, do you know how much they earn every single day they play? Do you know? Those guys earn millions of shillings. In fact, it's not even called salary, wages. Millions of pounds. And you are there going on strike because the school did not allow you to watch that football, which was being played thousands of kilometers away. Jen said priorities.
I know, and you know, I remember there was that space back when I was in high school where there were so many schools that were striking for random reasons, by the way. I don't remember most of the reasons, but there was a time where so many schools were striking. I think I was in Form 3 or 2 there, one of those forms. But it was never something as simple as a football match. Hey! And you mko maisha London sai.
It's a football match.
Je tuko watch game. Kwanza nilikuwa nafika mahali mnaambiwa kuna entire wiki, kuna entire kesho.
Yeah.
Unakula you swallow your pain mukisonga mbele. Hey, Doreen, why strike juu ya kukaziwa entire?
Mlikuwa na soft life,
ama ulikuwa shule gani tuache kukuongelelea?
Marinated chicken.
Strike per se, but you know, you're too unrowdiness. Sometimes mnakataa kuenda to class, mna decide tu amutaenda. You know, such kind of things because of entertainment, sometimes food. But again, going back to that story, if those students decided that they would strike because of football, I mean, haven't we heard of stories where people are committing suicide because of the same? So what is the difference anyway? Just that this one is in school and they are so much into football. They may be football fanatics and they love it. The same way someone will commit suicide because their team lost or loses in a series of times. So I think it's just perhaps one and the same thing.
But then again, you know, we are speaking of them from the space that we are in now, not in the mental space that they are as high school kids. Because looking back at that mental space that I was when I was in high school, of course it would have made sense to me watch give me a Man U na Liverpool. I'm deepening my voice like a boy, but yeah, it would have made sense back then, looking at the mental space, the maturity level also. But now we speak from a judgmental place, by the way, because I'm Jakula life, adulting hasn't happened yet. But to them, you know, their priorities seem to be mixed, but to them, that was a priority. Do you know, it reaches a point that some of us, ikifika saa tatu, you are completely worn out. Unasema saa tatu. Mimi nalalanga na watoto wangu 7:30. You switch off. 7:30 p.m. Si wote tuko kwa kitanda. My goodness. My goodness. It's lack of priorities. And for any student who is watching this, those schools went on strike in Kericho. You know, let me tell you, we were being told that you will suffer as an individual. You know, you did not go to your various homes as a school.
You came alone.
Ulibeba bag yako wewe mwenyewe.
You went to your mother or your guardian, and remember, some of them are being sponsored students. They don't have any means to pay school fees. So someone is suffering because of someone's mistake.
Kipsigis, they went on strike because the principal was transferred.
So the story says that the students went on strike in solidarity with Kipsigis girls who went on strike on Sunday to protest the transfer of the principal, Juliana Kirui, to Moi Girls High School in Eldoret. Transfer of teachers is a prerogative of the government, and they can do it.
Do you remember your favorite teacher in high school?
Yes.
I think this is one of those situations. Kwanza akiwa principal in this case, this was a very heart-wrenching issue for them, I can imagine. But it doesn't justify anything.
No. And
but also,
on Monday,
let me just say this. When you look at this strikes in school, in primary schools, in secondary schools, I mean, sometimes there's this idea we always have in our mind that unless we go to the streets or unless we protest, people might not understand. And perhaps we might be blaming these kids or children, but they're just saying it from us, from the adults. I mean, when you look at different even organizations, even here in the country, we've seen that a lot of time when teachers go on strike because they feel the government has not given them maybe whatever they agreed on the CBA, or salary has not been increased. You know, when you see workers in an organization deciding, well, nimekuwa na mshahara for the longest time, why aren't you giving me?
The nurses are currently on strike.
Exactly.
So,
but do you,
when these kids strike in school, they just believe, okay, if nurses can strike because they haven't been increased their pay, so even us, if we remove this teacher or this food is bad, and we've complained a lot of times and you're not listening, then perhaps strike is what you would listen to, because that's what we see even on a national level.
But Doreen, do you know there's a difference? Because, you know, nurses, teachers, medics, call them any other organization or in a work-related body here, they give a notice, actually serve to the courts. 7 days, 21 days notice that if certain demands are not met, then this is what will happen. Actually, which is also provided for in the Constitution. You know,
peaceful demonstration.
Exactly, peaceful demonstration. So you have to notify the police, you have to notify your organization leaders, you have to notify the relevant authorities, so that when you go on the street, it is actually supported by the documents submitted to the courts. Sasa nyinyi students, who did you notify?
I like what you've said, that the nurses, the teachers give a notice. Looks like students don't
even workers' unions, by the way. No, you have to notify because they have got their
and state reasons
why you need to. They just wake up in the morning. Have you ever seen any teacher or in the nurse or in the organization or in the worker per se going on strike because, you know, it has to be systematic? So
your
students,
MD was transferred to a different organization.
Who did you notify students? Priorities. Okay. On a serious note, students, make sure it's. Our principal used to say that you're in school for just a very short period of time. It's for a reason and for a season, and that season, make use of it. Make use of it. Life is tough out here. Some of us. Kulala is watching football is unasema tu what happened last night, walicheza aje?
Na Google results. Who scored?
I mean, exactly.
At what minute?
Priorities. Okay, I think that stay at home will make you to reflect. All right. So back to our newspaper. We are working. You are watching us. Priorities. Okay. Public state officers face lifestyle audit after senators approve bill. Awaits National Assembly endorsement before it's signed by the president. Public and state officers will undergo a mandatory lifestyle audit after senators unanimously approved a bill on wealth reviews. The Lifestyle Audit Bill 2021 which seeks to ensure government officers account for their wealth, now awaits for endorsement of the National Assembly before it's presented to the president for assent. The bill is sponsored by nominated Senator Faria Ali, which provides a legal framework for the lifestyle audit to boost the war against graft. Okay.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. That is where we bring in the headlines to a close. We have been looking at the Star, the Standard, the Daily Nation, as well as the People Daily. You can go out and grab whichever copy best resonates with you. We take a very short breather. We will be back with what more we have lined up for you. Stay with us.